Hi everyone, my name is Jaden. I'm a student in Dr. Mike McCabe's University Success in the College of Education course. The purpose of today's video is to discuss the 10 dispositions for learners in the College of Education, as well as explore the ones that I feel are the most valuable and the ones that I possess the strongest, as well as kind of talk about the ones that I feel I could improve on. We all have areas that we need to improve on as educators, and I think that desire to improve and learn and grow is what continues fulfilling our desire to be a great teacher. So the top two dispositions for me are compassion and reflection, in that order. I feel as though compassion is the foundation of being a teacher. A lot of us, we go into the field of education because we want to change the world. We want to change today's learners. We want to empower the youth. We want to help build up the next generation. And in order to do that, we have to have compassion. As an educator and as a teacher, regardless of what field or role you have, whether you're a principal, a counselor, a social worker, whether you're teaching ESL or even like a gym class, you have to have compassion for the students and the learners that you are working with on a daily basis. You're going to have students from so many different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, social groups, and just kids and even adults, learners in general who are facing different circumstances in life that affect them. These outward factors affect them in the classroom setting and have a very strong role to play in how they learn and how they absorb information. And when we have compassion, even if we may not be able to personally empathize with what a student is going through in their daily life, it allows us to see things from their perspective, and it also equips us with the tools to teach them better. So that is the most important one to me. I wrote about it in one of my previous assignments as well, because I feel as though compassion involves everything. I would also say that it is a disposition that I feel I possess the strongest in my daily life and in teaching environments that I've been in. I sometimes feel like I have compassion to a fault, where it's sometimes difficult for me to effectively teach because I'm so quick to take on other people's experiences as my own burden. And so I do kind of want to work on a balance as a future educator, because although compassion is important, sometimes our emotions, when we're thinking about what other students or learners are going through, they can blind us from seeing a situation with objectivity, which is why the core ethics as teachers is also very important, which was mentioned in a previous assignment. The second one is going to be reflection. I feel as reflection is very critical to the teaching environment because not a lot of people possess the natural desire to reflect upon their emotions. I think it takes a lot of emotional and psychological intelligence to take an inward look at ourselves and the decisions that we're making, especially as educators, and say, why am I doing this? What motivates what it is that I think about my students? What is it that's motivating what I think about the material that I'm teaching? What I think about myself? What is motivating the decisions that my students are making? But reflection is critical because it allows us to look at the situation with different perspectives. Whether that means reflecting with other experts or other teachers that we look up to or see as peers, or whether we're taking the time to self-reflect, I think it's important because when we don't reflect, a lot of times we're just taking on all of these experiences with our students and never taking the time to really analyze what's going on. And it can definitely lead to burnout, which I think burnout automatically just can kind of take away and subtract from everything good that we're doing as a teacher. Because when our own cup is not filled and when we're starting to get frustrated with our profession, we're not able to deliver wholeheartedly to our students. The third one that I would also say is important would be dedication. Funnily enough, on my analysis and on my survey, I actually placed dedication as my last value. It's not so much so that I do not value dedication. I strongly do, and I would consider myself a dedicated individual. But something that I think is that a lot of people just assume if you're dedicated, that you will never struggle as a teacher. Dedication, in my opinion, based on my perspective as someone who has worked in the education field and is currently seeking my degree and certification to teach in the public school setting, dedication is important, but it is not an automatic determining factor that makes us a good teacher or makes us all of our problems as a teacher disappear. You have to have dedication in order to pursue all of these other dispositions, but you can be dedicated and not necessarily know where you need to improve, which is why I placed dispositions like compassion and reflection above that one. The dispositions that I feel like I don't possess as strongly, which I previously mentioned, would be professionalism And I would also say respect for the diversity of others. I think because of how compassionate I can be, which I previously mentioned as a teacher and educator, sometimes that desire to connect with students forces me subconsciously to place myself on their level. And I don't value professionalism in that atmosphere as much because I care more about connecting with the student than recognizing and representing the institution that I'm working for as a professional individual. I would also say that I really would like to continue working on respect for the diversity of others. I think that in theory, we all say we love diversity, but in practice, sometimes it's hard to empathize with people who have different worldviews than us, and we don't see how they can be valuable. But I think having an ultimate understanding of respect allows us to still treat others with what it is that they need, which is integrity from us as educators, even if we don't necessarily understand their worldview. Thank you so much for watching my video. I do feel like I rambled a little, but I hope that you enjoyed it. And I'm excited to continue improving as a future educator.